What's going on, guys? Welcome to your 44th UDK tutorial, and in this tutorial what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be covering one of the things that I didn't have time to cover in the last tutorial, and that's this. So let me go ahead and hit play from here and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. But before I do, if you guys notice that you can now hear my computer sound, check it out. Hear me shooting around and also my footsteps. It's because I got a new screen recording program, and that's because in these upcoming tutorials I'm going to be working with sound, so I needed it. My other screen recording program wouldn't record my computer sound, so if this video looks a little different, that's why. So you guys can hopefully hear my sound now, even though it's incredibly loud. I should probably fix that, turn it down a bit, but hey, I'm too lazy to do that. So check it out. In the last tutorial, I taught you guys how to use a light switch, aka a trigger, and whenever you touch it, it turns the light on. But now check it out. Whenever we back away from it, the light stays on. That's no good. Let's try bumping into it again. No, that's not working. Okay, so we definitely need to fix that. So that's what I'm going to be teaching you guys to do in this tutorial. So go ahead and I think I got kennel cough. Go ahead and X out of that and open Unreal Kismet by, of course, hitting this little K with the arrow and move this over till it's centered. And we actually need to change a couple properties in Kismet. The very first property is we need to change one of the properties on this touch event. So go ahead and select your touch event, and whenever you do, this properties panel is going to pop open in the bottom left. And by the way, if you're not seeing the properties you want to see right here, it's because you don't have the right thing selected. This window right here changes based on what you have selected. So if you have this event selected, the properties for this event is going to pop. If you have an action selected, then you see the properties for the action. If you have a variable selected, then so on and so forth. But anyways, we want to change the property of this event. So go ahead and select the event. And actually the property we want to change is in this sequence event. Now what we're looking for is this right here, max trigger count. Now I know I call that thing a light switch a lot, but it's actually called a trigger, and one of the properties it has is how many times can you use it. Now by default, this is pretty dumb, but by default it's set at 1 right here, and you see if you hover over it, a little box pops up that says, oops, it went away, how many times can this event be activated? 0 for infinite. So by default we can only use it one time. Basically, whenever we hit our trigger one time, the light switch is on and then that trigger breaks. We can't use it ever again, so we have no way of turning those lights on or off ever again. So for infinite, it said hit 0. So now that we hit 0, we can now turn it on an infinite number of times. We can turn it on, off, on, off, on, off until our fingers bleed. So go ahead and change max trigger count to 0, and now that trigger can be used an unlimited number of times. But let's go ahead and examine this a little bit closer. So if we read our program, it says, alright, whenever we touch our trigger, which basically means whenever we bump into our trigger, the lights are going to turn on. But what is telling our lights that whenever we walk away, we want them to turn off? Well, here's the thing that says turn off, and nothing's happening. So basically our light switch basically only works one way. It only turns our lights on. So in order for our lights to turn off, we need to say, alright, whenever you untouch that trigger, turn your lights off. And I know this language is a little bit weird because in real life you never tell anyone to untouch something. You're either like, alright, turn my lights on or off. You're never like, hey Tony, untouch my face. You know, you don't say that. You say, get your hands off my face. But anyways, in the UDK, they use this language, touched and untouched, and it pretty much means, are you touching the trigger or are you not touching the trigger? So that may help clear things up a little bit. So anyways, in this tutorial, what we did is we changed that max trigger count to 0. This means our light switch will work until the end of time. We can turn it on and off a million times if we want to. And we also told our UDK, or Kismet, or whatever, whenever we aren't touching that light switch, to turn the lights off. So now whenever we bump into the trigger, it's going to turn on. Whenever we back away, it's going to turn off. Oh, you don't believe me, do ya? Well, let me just go ahead and play from here, and I'll prove it to you guys. So go ahead and touch this light switch and keep your eye on that static mesh right there. Our lights pop on. Now back up, they turn off. Do it again, on. off, on, and off, run it through, on, off, on, off. I can do this all day, guys. You think I won't? I'm about to record a 3-hour video of me doing this. Nah, I'm just kidding. So anyways, I just want to tell you guys that we now can use our trigger an unlimited number of times. And also, unlike before when we could only turn our lights on, we can now turn them off by untouching, aka moving away from the trigger. So for now, that's all you guys get. In the next tutorial, what I'm going to be teaching you guys how to do is use a sound in conjunction with Kismet, and it's probably the coolest tutorial yet because we are finally incorporating sound into Kismet. It's awesome. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I guess I'll see you next time.